Still just like
Jason, you knew you could do it. Oh, thank you. Yes, the device connected seems I was one anywhere.
Oh,
Good afternoon, friends and family. My name is Jordan, and I'm Troy's oldest daughter. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, either in person or in spirit. Now is a good time to let you know we do have this live streamed. So if you don't want to be on the internet, just avoid the laptop over there with all of your presents here. One of the greatest joys of my life has been to see my dad as a grandpa. If there is such a thing as a life's purpose, this was certainly his. The relationship between him and my daughter was effortless and seemed to bloom out of thin air. There are moments that I recall which shine the brightest for me, and I would like to share them with you today. Telling my dad that I was pregnant was horrifying. For anyone who knew him, you would know that he was a fairly traditional man, and this pregnancy was anything but traditional. I made sure to tell him on my birthday. My thought process was that, he couldn't be mad at me because it was my birthday. His response to my big news was simply, "Jordan, it's your birthday. You're supposed to be not giving." About a week later, I received a package in the mail with 4 different football-themed onesies and a stuffed animal. During the next 9 months, he rejoiced with ultrasound photos and doctor's appointment updates, anything to bring him closer to his granddaughter. When the time finally came for him to hold her, she was hardly 4 weeks old and just looked so small in his arms. I remember him smiling and saying, "You used to be this big." It's one of his favorite stories, was that I would fit across his whole forearm, and he held her out like that. It was very scary. Following that, of course, was a lecture on parenthood, classic Troy. Unfortunately, he didn't get much in-person time with Hayden. Most of her life, he was in Alaska, and so she lovingly gave him the nickname. They would chat on the phone, and she would share with him all the hot daycare gossip. You could just hear his voice sparkle when they spoke. He often recorded videos of snow or moose or bears that he found and sent them to me with very strict instructions to show Hayden. She loved these videos and would go home to identify what he had shown her in her picture books. My dad's relationship with Hayden had to cross 3,766 miles, but once they were together, you couldn't really tell. There was the initial shyness that all toddlers have, but it never lasted long. Soon after, you could find them wandering the aquarium, Dad presenting too much factual information on the fish, while Hayden would dart around to the next big thing. Or the zoo, which you could find them decorating Easter eggs using a new technique my dad had researched in anticipation for the event. Or you could find them at the Science Center, both laughing as hard as they could. My dad and Hayden set the standard for long-distance relationships. Dad taught me that when it comes to family, distance almost doesn't matter. What does matter is taking advantage of the time that you do have to show how much you love someone. I hope that I can continue to uphold this virtue in all areas of my life and never hesitate to express the love that I feel. I hope that I too can be brave, like my dad, to do big things, like move to Alaska when I know that it's right. And finally, I hope that I can continue to bring all of his love to my daughter, myself, and my family, so that we can never be without. On behalf of me, thank you all for your support during this time. Thank you for loving my dad and making sure that no matter where he was always with family. I'm gonna pass the mic over to my brother Jason, if he can come up and say a few words as well.
Sorry. All right. 1 week, just over a week ago, I had the privilege to perform in front of my friends and family, my father included. He moved his flight back a day just so that he could make sure to be there for me. And towards the last minute, I exchanged one of the songs I was going to perform live. I never rehearsed it, and it just felt right that I wanted to do the song. And it's a song called "The Call," and it's all about how over this last year, when I was really down on my face, I had so many loved ones around to support me, and of course, my dad was one of them. And so, I'm very glad I got formed, and I'm taking it as a means to reflect on my dad's life, to be thankful, and to be thankful for the times that we did get to share, of which are plenty, and to go forward with that attitude, because I know he took the same thing with him everywhere he went. He was thankful for the couple weeks he got to spend with us in passing, coming down from Alaska, thankful for time with Hayden, thankful for our ritual activities that we got to do. So I'm just very thankful for my dad, and thankful that I got to spend so many great times, and thankful that I got to see him and tell him things. And that's all I really got for you.
For those who don't know, we've had some technical difficulties, and my opening line was going to be about my dad's hot-headedness. And the irony is not lost on me that I am less than pleased about the technological situation. But he was very often all too serious for his own good and his blood pressure and health generally. But as he aged, he got even more and more ridiculous. He was one of the silliest people I ever got to know. But it was difficult sometimes to tell if his super red complexion was from the sun or from something that didn't go the right way. I'm sure I am also bright red right now. But he was a goofball, especially by the time he started growing the goatee. It was like 30 centimeters, and he had like a really full beard at some point that's in the slides, and he was a very goofy person. But as we were just having lunch the other day, my uncle Mike was telling us about how my dad always knew best when it came to cooking, even if he never cooked that food before. He knew the better way to cook it. And one time my sister and I were making mac and cheese, and I think this like perfectly sums up my dad. He kept poking his head in the kitchen to micromanage our cheese making, and my sister quickly ushered him out of the kitchen because a little did he know I actually burned it, and we were trying to fix it before he got done. But I'm saying something to the effect of, I know I always try to reach up from the back seat and grab the steering wheel, and that was my dad. He wanted his hands in everything, but he was always there. We had a difficult relationship at the beginning, but he was always there. Every softball game, every field trip, everything, and he was always there, even if time didn't allow. When he moved to Alaska, he would call, my dad and I when I was really young. We were super close, and we had this one tradition for cooking. We made hash browns every Saturday, and nothing to go with them. It was just hash browns, just like a lot of hash browns. So, you know, we'd get up and he would always peel the potato and I would shred it. And this was the way it went until one time I shredded the tip of my finger off instead of the potato, and I bled in all the potatoes. And I think his friend Mike was coming over for breakfast, but we didn't throw the potatoes away. We just, you know, took that part out and kept going. He always loved to share videos with us, and this is what I was going to show you. It was like not a day could go by without like 10 pictures and a video of him. And he would always film himself, usually cooking or like telling us how to do something, so that we could know. He wasn't. He was in case we needed to refer back to it. So he showed us how to make an omelet, and I'll be sure to share the video in case anyone's unsure how to make an omelet. But I will cherish the wealth of data we have. But he didn't just love cooking, he loved us very, very much. Even when he was super mad, I never questioned if he loved us. But I'm not sure he loved us as much as he loved Alaska. He really loved Alaska, and we had just as many videos, insert videos here, of the snow and every single animal he saw on the side of the road. There was going to be like one of those Zoom videos of like a really novel thing to him. But he wanted to share it with us, and it's one of my biggest regrets that we never win. I know you went Treason, but we never win. He wanted us to see that, and he really wanted Hayden to see that. That's why he sent so many videos to Hayden. But Jordan, you are totally right. More than anything else in the world, he loved Hayden. He loved being a grandpa. I also have some cute videos of that too, which would go now. But he had a really hard life in a lot of ways. And I feel so sad thinking about how I'm certain as a punk kid, I contributed to the difficulty of his life. No matter how many things that I'm sure he wished he could change, he was so happy to come home every single time. The last post he posted on Facebook was about Arizona. He was sharing an Arizona link because he was so excited to come home for a month. I hadn't seen my dad in over a year because I live in Pennsylvania now. And so it just scarcely aligned. And the last time I talked to him, last Saturday, he was so excited because we always went to a new restaurant. That was our thing. He was so excited to go to dinner. But he was above all excited about applying for jobs in Phoenix because about once a year I received a phone call from him asking me to help update his resumes and his cover letters because he was applying because he wanted to come home. And so last Saturday, his resumes, his cover letters. And he said that this time what motivated him was because I accepted a job back in Phoenix. And he asked me why I did it. And I said, because family's priceless. And so I'm so happy he got to see all of you before he died. Because out of everything he loved, it was you guys. So thank you all so much for being here. I know that a couple other people have some remarks. Anyone who is wanting to come up is able to now. We have no particular. You want to go next? Okay, Mike's gonna come up.
Thank you for coming. I'm reading something for sister. A brother could be defined as a person who is there when you need him. Someone who picks you up when you fall. A person who sticks up for you when no one else will. A brother is always a friend. Troy is one of those few people who knew me all my life. My mom would tell me that when he found out he was going to have a brother or sister, he prayed for a sister. I believe some days he may have wondered why he did. In our younger years, we shared a room, each in our own twin bed, and lights out meant some time of giggling and talking, and many nights his stories of the adventures of mud ball and dirt club. We had our neighborhood friends and games and joked on lunch break when we were in school, and of course, got on each other's nerves. As we became adults, getting married and having kids, we remained in touch. Our kids playing and spending time together as well. Of course, life pulls you in different directions, so there aren't as many phone calls or visits. Our conversations were different, talking about our kids and grandkids and how awesome they are. Dreams and life hacks. Our constant throughout was that when I had a hard situation, I could count on Troy to help me. Losing our father, through my divorce, and most recently, telling our mom that we would have to move her to a full-time caregiving facility because of her dementia. But this time, I will do my best as you would. I'll continue to love and be thankful for my family as you were. While we are separated, there will be a void that will not be filled. But someday, when we are together again, we can talk about our adventures. I love you. And she found on the internet a poem about brother. It says, "You gave no one a last farewell, nor ever said goodbye. You were gone before we knew it, and only God knows why. A million times we will miss you, a million times we will cry. If love alone could have saved you, you never would have died. In life we loved you dearly, in death we love you still. In our hearts you hold the place no one else can fill. Broke our heart, but you didn't go alone, for part of us went with you. The day God took you home. We will meet again someday, I know in a better place. I thank God He made me. I thank God He made you my brother while you were here on earth."
If there's anyone that would like to come up and say a few words, feel free. Otherwise, my Aunt Gladys and Uncle Michael have opened their home up to a reception. There'll be food. I'd be happy to get to know some of you a little bit more, talk about my dad a little more. We have addresses in the back if you would like to attend. And thank you so much for being here. Hello, everyone. Thanks. I'm sorry.
Sit here. Take Will you take care or you? Oh, yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's not far away.
Which way is it?
It's just great, but.
Oh, well,
I
I live north, so.
Yeah. No, not this time, because you're in line, but there's some boxes now, so we're gonna grab that. Yeah. Can I hang out?
Do you need me with that? Do you need ice?
Ice is, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Big thing, or,
Yeah.
you know, if you have extra one.
Are we listening to a lot of Incubus? My dad's favorite, George Michael playlist. So.
I know.
They did not have
We did not talk.
So you copied her. I did mine, so
She found out that we were in, she copied me.
She copied yours, actually. Yeah, actually, listen, there's the right. He did not plan that.
I did not know your dad was in the wedding party. I saw like their wedding photos and I was like, I what? was surprised to see your dad on the phone. Yeah. This is my friend. Hi. I was telling his friends. I'm wearing her stuff.
Oh, I don't remember. You'll never come a good service to that. He was a good cook.
Yeah, I don't really want to know. That's true. I just wanted to touch my time.
Probably just like completely butter and just like everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just think it's.
So you take all of his. I was down. Oh, I had to go to. I'll make sure. It's not available. Yeah, that's not bad. I love yeah, well, I guess that's the stuff I guess that's stuff everywhere. So you guys just go, it'll take a while. I think I'm gonna change too.
Oh, for Indians.
I never know.
Oh, his friend.
I don't know. We'll see you in like 30 minutes. Or I guess 40, whatever.
Ooh, I guess we should end the line. Thanks for coming.